It's a beautiful morning. Megan wants to have a quick breakfast before work, but she only has 3 identical apples. Only one of them is safe to eat, while the other 2 are poisoned. Can you help her choose the best option? The second apple has a caterpillar in it, which means that there's no poison in the fruit, so it's safe to eat. Megan is riding her motorbike to work as usual. She drives around the same corner at a certain speed every day, regardless of whether it's rainy or sunny. However, if it's cloudy but not rainy, Megan usually goes faster. Why? There's a car wash on that corner. On rainy days, wet roads reduce traction. On sunny days, water from the car wash makes the road wet and causes the same effect. But if the weather forecast says there's a chance of rain, the car wash gets few clients and thus the road stays dry. That's why Megan passes the area faster. Megan is sitting in her office. Suddenly, a delivery guy enters the room holding a cardboard box. He sits down near Megan. Although she can't see, hear, or smell the contents of this box, she knows for sure what's there. How? Megan is allergic to cats. She began to experience the symptoms of her allergy. Megan is looking out of the office window. She sees a pile of pebbles, a carrot, and a pipe laying together in the middle of a garden. Any idea what happened here? Megan saw the remains of a melted snowman. Megan's boyfriend Stan sends her a selfie. She immediately realizes that he cheated. How did she know? Take a look at the background. There's someone's lipstick on the dresser. The lipstick probably doesn't belong to Megan. That's why she suspects that another woman has been visiting Stan's apartment. Megan goes to the office kitchen and finds 2 identical lunchboxes in the fridge. Can you find 3 differences between them? Here they are. Megan's coworker Sarah claims that one of the lunchboxes belongs to her. Can you guess which one? The lid of the first lunchbox has a nail polish scratch on it. The color of the nail polish matches Megan's purple nails perfectly. Therefore, the second box must belong to Sarah. Megan's task is to find a rental beach house for her boss. She finds 3 available options. Can you help Megan choose the best one? According to the info box, the first house will be completed in 100 years, so it's probably a scam. The second house should have 4 floors, but it only has 2 according to the picture. Therefore, Megan should pick the third option. After work, Megan goes to a hairdresser. A group of clients is waiting in the lobby, but it's not that simple. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? It's the First Lady. An Earthling would hardly drink shampoo. Megan asks her hairdresser to dye her hair red. They apply the hair dye, wait a precise amount of time, and then wash it off. Oh no! Megan's hair is green! She interrogates 3 suspects. The hairdresser says, "Honey, I have no idea what happened. I did everything according to instructions." The cleaning lady says, "I didn't approach your hair dye. I'm allergic to all sorts of hair products." And the manager says, "I'm so sorry, miss. Someone must have confused the packages with hair dye." Who's lying? The cleaning lady. She would hardly be able to work in a beauty salon if she really had allergies to all sorts of hair products. Megan is meeting her friend at a new nightclub. She enters the building and gets lost in the basement. Megan faces 3 doors leading outside this trap. Behind the first door, there's a bunch of gross snakes. Although they all look the same, some of them are venomous and some of them are not. Behind the second door, there's an ancient magic box. Anyone who dares open this box will be cursed. And there's a tunnel full of hungry guard dogs behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? Megan should choose the second option. She can simply walk past the box without opening it and avoid the curse. Luckily, Megan manages to escape and finds the nightclub. The guard at the entrance demands a password. Megan forgot it. She only remembers that it's a 6-number combination. Can you help her crack the code? Take a look at the numbers written on the wall. Megan needs some lateral thinking here. The hint shows 3 4s, 7 1s, and 2 7s. So the code is 3 4 7 1 2 7. Finally, Megan enters the party. She spots a famous influencer among the guests, Rob. Megan approaches and asks for a selfie. He agrees, but in the middle of the photo shoot, Rob suddenly faints. The police figure out that he's been poisoned. They question 3 witnesses. Rob's wife, Ashley, says, "We're both on a juice diet. Rob and I only drank 1 juice all day long. I feel okay. I have no idea what happened to him." Rob's manager, Stella, says,
"I only talk to Rob once a day. He borrowed my earbuds because he forgot his own at home."
And Daniel, Rob's brother, says, "Rob couldn't stand the juice diet, so I secretly treated him to some sugar-free organic cookies. I hope it's not my fault." Who poisoned Rob? Stella. There's a bottle of ear poison inside her pocket. She put it on the earbuds. Finally, Megan arrives home. Oh no! Someone stole her favorite antique vase. She calls the police and they question 3 neighbors. Mia says, "I was out of town. I just returned an hour ago and I was so tired after a long drive that I immediately went to bed." Tyler says, "I was getting ready to paint my house, but it didn't seem the rain would stop soon. So I went to the movies instead." Anna says, "My sister got sick. That's why I was busy looking after my little nephew." Who's lying? It was Mia. It's been raining for the whole day. If she'd returned home just an hour ago, the road under her car would be wet. Megan joins the local running marathon. All the participants run the same distance. Each gets ranked according to their own unique result. Megan turns out to be both the 50th fastest and the 50th slowest runner. How many runners are there in the marathon? Even though 100 sounds like a clear-cut answer, it's actually 99. Megan is the 50th in the sequence from 1 to 50 of the fastest runners. If she's the 50th slowest, there has to be 99 runners ranked from 50 to 99. Megan is visiting the world's tallest skyscraper. It took 7 years to build it. Every year, the builders managed to double its height. How many years did it take the skyscraper to reach half its maximum height? Six years. If the constructors doubled the building's height every year, the skyscraper had to be half its final height a year before it was completed. Hi, my favorite detective. I've got a new portion of tricky riddles for you to train your sharp mind. Let's start.
Yeah.
One summer night, Emily threw a big party. But in the morning, she discovered that someone had stolen all her jewelry and money.
Oh no!
The police have 3 suspects: Daniel, Emily's boyfriend, Lily, her best friend, and Hannah, the girl's sister. Daniel told the police that he'd been playing computer games with his friend all night long. Lily felt sick and went home in the middle of the night. She said she knew nothing about the theft when the police called her. And Hannah said that she had stayed at the party till 7 a.m. and then had taken a taxi home because nobody could give her a lift. It was dark and she couldn't see anything. Who was lying? Hannah. At 7 a.m. in the summer, it's already light outside. One day, a famous soccer coach went missing right from the changing rooms. The police had 3 suspects, and all of them were from his team. Brandon said that after the training, he'd stayed on the pitch to practice a bit more. He hadn't been to the changing room yet. Andrew swore that after the training, he had gone outside to meet with his girlfriend. And James said, "When I was leaving the changing room, the coach was still there." Who's behind the disappearance of the coach? It's Brandon. He said he hadn't been to the changing room yet. But look, he's wearing not his uniform, but his street clothes. Once, a mad professor kidnapped Zoe and held her in his house. Was he planning to experiment on her? There was no way the young woman could escape. But one day, the scientist got bored.
You'll have to make breakfast for me tomorrow. If I like it, I'll let you go. If not, no one will hear about you again.
In the morning, Zoe went to the kitchen and started cooking. But when she turned away from the stove, the scientist threw a whole box of salt into the pot. However, when Zoe served him breakfast, he realized he had to set the girl free. Can you figure out what Zoe cooked? The girl boiled eggs. A man on a motorbike crashed into the window of Mr. Ruby's store, grabbed several expensive watches, and drove away. When the police arrived, Mr. Ruby told them that he was almost sure it had been his nephew, Patrick. The officers went to visit the guy. Because of a heavy downpour, it took them 1 hour to get there. Patrick was at home, together with his friend. "Look at the weather. I haven't been outside since yesterday." Patrick's friend confirmed his words, but the police didn't believe their story and arrested Patrick. Why? The guy's helmet is hanging on his motorbike. If it had been there since the previous day, it would have been filled with rainwater by now. 4 friends went to a cafe together. 2 of them, Linda and Mike, ordered a large pot of blueberry tea. Kirsten took some lemonade, and Oscar opted for orange juice. Half an hour later, Linda and Mike lost consciousness and were rushed to a hospital. When the police analyzed the tea they had drunk, they found poison in it. The main suspects were, of course, Kirsten and Oscar. Why didn't they drink the tea? Kirsten said that she didn't like tea with berries, and Oscar explained that he was allergic to blackberries. Who is the culprit? It's Oscar. He said he was allergic to blackberries, but the tea his friends drank was with blueberries. David worked at a construction site. Once, someone attacked him, and the unconscious man was taken to a hospital. Police officers who arrived to investigate the case had 3 suspects who also worked at the construction site: Alex, Ryan, and John. Alex said, "I was putting all tiles on the roof when the accident happened." Ryan confessed that he'd been sleeping under the tree, and John claimed that he'd been laying bricks at that time. Can you figure out who's lying? Alex was the one to hurt David. The building has no roof yet, so he couldn't be putting tiles up there. You've bought a cute little rabbit at a pet store. The animal can breed every 2 months, and every time it will deliver 5 babies. How many rabbits will you have in a year? You'll have just 1 rabbit. If you want to have little bunnies, you have to buy 2 rabbits. Look at these people attentively. Who is a mer person? Pay attention to every little detail. It's the guy on the right. Look, his hands are webbed. Allison won the main prize of $1 million on a game show. But when the shooting was over, it turned out that the host of the show had disappeared, together with the prize. The police managed to log into the computer in his office. They saw that the host had sent this message to his girlfriend. It looked like the host had told his girlfriend where he was going. The police went to the airport, but which flight was the host going to catch? Can you figure it out? Now let's see, the first 2 letters of Atlas are AT. If we take 3 letters from the word land, it'll leave us with LAN. And the 2 first letters of tattoo are TA. Together, these letters make up the word Atlanta. Hurry to the gate, officers! Jack got lost in the woods. Suddenly, he saw a castle. The man rushed there and was greeted by the owner of the castle.
You have to answer just 1 question. If you win, I'll show you the way out of the forest. But if you lose, you'll never leave my castle.
Jack agreed. The owner asked,
There are 4 mirrors on the wall. One of them reflects fire-spitting dragon Niren. The second, beautiful mermaid Laura. In the third mirror, you can see a terrifying vampire Sam. And in the fourth, unicorn David. You have to figure out which reflection isn't real, and fast!
The reflection of vampire Sam isn't real. Vampires can't be reflected in mirrors. A businessman arrived at his office after a long trip and discovered that some important documents had disappeared from his desk. He immediately called the police, and a detective arrived shortly after. After interviewing all the workers, he had a list with 3 suspects on it. They were Emma, the accountant, Sophia, the receptionist, and James, a sales manager. But each of these people claimed that they hadn't even been inside the businessman's office. Still, it didn't take long until the detective figured out who was lying. Can you do the same? The thief is James. Both women wear high heels in the office, but the footprints on the floor are obviously left by sneakers. You throw me when you need me and pick me up when you don't need me. Can you figure out what I am? Right you are. I'm an anchor. How can you increase 66 by 1.5 if you aren't allowed to make any mathematical operations? Hurry up and crack this riddle. Just turn 66 upside down. It was Mr. and Mrs. Smith's wedding anniversary, and Mrs. Smith was going to put on diamond earrings her husband had presented her for their wedding. But when she opened her jewelry box, she saw that the earrings weren't there. She called her daughters, Dora and Laura. "I've told you so many times not to touch my things. Who took my jewelry this time?" Dora exclaimed, "I haven't touched your jewelry box." Laura also denied taking her mom's stuff. "I don't even wear earrings." Can you figure out which girl is lying? It was Laura who stole the earrings. Her mom didn't specify which piece of jewelry was missing. Hey Sherlocks, I really need your help here. So, take out your magnifying glasses and join me on this detective chase.
Yeah.
Look at this image. What's wrong here? These guys seem to be playing tennis, but they're using a tiny football. Now how about these people? One of them is from the future. Can you figure out who it is? Be very attentive. Right, it's this guy. He's got a smartphone in his pocket. This looks like a regular picnic in the park, but one of these people is a time traveler. Who is it? It's the guy with a USB port in his arm. A sailor has a piece of fabric that is 16 feet long. He cuts 2 feet of this fabric per day. How many days will he need to cut the whole cloth? Your first answer might have been 8 days, but in fact, the sailor will only need 7 days. The last remaining piece of fabric will be 2 feet long, and the sailor won't need to cut it. Adam's car has broken down right in the middle of a deserted forest road. But the worst thing? It's winter. Snowdrifts are huge, and the wind is freezing cold. Adam has to get to the nearest town, and fast. But if he follows the first path, he'll have to deal with hungry wolves. The second one goes through an area inhabited by bears. And if he takes the third road, he'll have to cross a river covered with thin ice. Which is the safest way? Adam should sneak through the bear's territory. These animals sleep in winter. Look at this picture. Which cage, in your opinion, is the safest? It's the last one. Even though a scorpion sting is painful, it's rarely life-threatening. The next tricky brain teaser for you. Can you figure out who has stolen her computer? It's definitely the girl on the right. Look at the strange shape her hoodie has taken. One of these girls is a wanted criminal. But which one? It's the one with dark hair. She has the same mole as the girl in the photo. Now there is something terribly wrong in this image. Can you figure out what it is? Look at that snowdrift near the cactus on the right. It's a desert. What is a snowdrift doing there? Look at these people and try to figure out who will divorce soon. Most likely, it will be the couple on the right. Have you noticed that the woman has secretly given a note with her phone number to the bartender? After a natural disaster, there was a blackout in Sam's town. Some criminals used darkness to kidnap the guy for ransom. The building where he was kept had 3 doors. Sam could use one of them to escape. But the first door hid a trap that would crush anyone as soon as they entered. Behind the second door, there were chainsaws that could cut anything into pieces in no time. The flesh-eating acid was bubbling behind the third door. Which door should Sam choose? Chainsaws can't harm the guy because there's no electricity in the town, remember? Liza was a millionaire's daughter.
She was fed up with her father trying to control her life, so she decided to run away from home. She took some money and the most discreet car she could find in the garage and left. The girl knew her father would send his people to bring her back. That's why she never stayed in one hotel for more than one night. One day, she found herself in a small town. It was getting dark, and she had no choice but to stop at the first hotel she saw. The receptionist said her room number was 710 and offered to show her where it was. Liza immediately grabbed her bag, ran out of the hotel, jumped in the car, and sped away. Why? The first digit of a hotel room number usually means the floor it's on. Room 710 is supposed to be on the 7th floor. But the hotel has only 2 floors. This must be a trap. A tourist who didn't speak English came up to the ticket counter at a New York subway station. One ticket cost 50 cents, and the man handed the ticketing clerk $1. The woman gave the tourist 2 tickets without even asking how many he needed. How did she know? The tourist gave her 4 quarters, and she immediately realized that if he needed just 1 ticket, he would have just given her 2 quarters. Ice melts when you heat it, but if you heat me, I'll become solid. Can you figure out what I am? I'm an egg. I'm weightless, but you can see me. And if you put me in a water bottle, it will become much lighter. What am I? Right you are. I'm a hole. After having had a fight with a powerful wizard, Louisa found herself trapped in a medieval castle, far away from civilization. She couldn't escape. Jumping out of the window was out of the question because it was too high above the ground. And the only tree growing next to that window wasn't sturdy enough for the girl to use it to climb down. At the same time, in the room where Louisa was locked, there were 3 doors. One of them could lead the girl to freedom, but behind the first door, a fire was raging. The second door held back hundreds of venomous snakes. And behind the third door, there was a maze filled with animal traps. Which door should Louisa choose to escape? Louisa should break off a tree branch, turn it into a torch by lighting it in the first room, and then going through the maze. It won't be dark anymore, and the girl will easily avoid the traps. Now, your task is to crack a few rebus puzzles. Be very attentive and try to think outside the box. What does this mean? Right, that's Big Sister. How about this rebus puzzle? The correct answer is right between the eyes. Look at this one. That's good afternoon. What can you fill if your hands are empty? Well, this is confusing. How can I fill anything if there's nothing in my hands? You'll probably be able to figure it out. And the correct answer is gloves, or mittens if that's what you prefer. Mr. Wilson's company had some financial problems. One day, the man called the police. He said someone had broken into his office. "They stole my safe with all the money I had." The police officers who came to investigate this case asked the man why he was so sure that there had been several thieves.
Well, my safe was too heavy for one person to carry.
The police instantly realized Mr. Wilson was lying. How? If the safe had been indeed so heavy, it would have left some dents on the carpet, but the floor covering is perfectly smooth. Detective Martin was choosing a diamond ring for his fiancée when a man in a black mask ran into the jewelry store. He made all the visitors lie on the floor and took the most expensive jewelry and money. After that, Detective Martin saw the man get on a red motorbike and speed away. The detective jumped into his car and set off on a chase. Soon, he came to a crossroads. Where should he go now? Suddenly, Martin saw a car coming from the opposite direction. He asked the driver if he'd seen the red bike.
No, I've only seen a silver convertible.
Then, the detective saw a gray car approach from the left. The woman inside said she hadn't seen the red bike, but she had seen a yellow bike and a group of cyclists. And the man who appeared from the right told Detective Martin he'd only noticed a large blue truck. Where is the robber?
Yeah.
The motorbike can only be inside the blue truck. Today, I'm going to put your attentiveness to the test. Pay attention to every little detail, and you'll solve all the riddles in no time. Mark was walking along the river when he heard someone screaming. It was a young woman who was drowning. The guy immediately left his jacket and backpack on the ground and jumped into the water. Luckily, he was on time. When Mark pulled the woman out of the river, he saw a passerby standing next to his stuff.
Unfortunately, I can't swim, but I looked after your things,
The man said. Then why did you rummage in my backpack? Mark asked. How did he understand someone had opened his backpack? When he dropped the bag on the ground, the zipper was on the left side, but now it's on the right side. It was a scorching hot day when Thomas made a bet with his friends. At that time, they were chilling in the garden, drinking water and lemonade. Thomas told his friends that water produced by different companies tasted different too.
You can blindfold me. I'll take a sip from 2 bottles of water, the one we have on the table and the one from a different producer. I saw it in the kitchen. I bet I'll be able to tell the difference.
Then he did exactly that. His friends were ready to give Thomas the money he had won. But one of them cut in.
You were cheating,
he said. Why did he think so? It was an extremely hot day. No wonder the water had been outside for several hours, which was much warmer than the water brought from the kitchen. Someone robbed a bank in a large city. A police detective went to visit the main suspect, who had been detained several times before.
I've been feeling unwell this week, and I haven't left my apartment for 3 days. Luckily, I didn't need food. My fridge is full. You can make sure of it yourself.
The man said and opened his fridge, but the detective realized the man was lying and arrested him. How did he figure it out? First of all, that loaf of bread on the table looks fresh. Plus, if the man had been staying inside for 3 days already, his fridge wouldn't be so full. Mr. Black sold beautiful, rare vases. There were dozens of them on the shelves of his store. One day, the man called the police. When they arrived, the owner had his head bandaged and his store was a mess. Some guys in masks ran into my store and grabbed the money and the most expensive vases. Then they hit me on the head and I blacked out. Police officers immediately understood that Mr. Black was lying to get the insurance money. How did they figure it out? Even though most of the vases are on the floor, they aren't even cracked. But if the vases had fallen down from the shelves during the robbery, they would have been shattered. Look at these two bloggers. As you see, they both seem to be very popular. They also have the same amount of likes, but there's something wrong with one of them. She must be hiding something. What is it? The girl on the right has a fake bag. The logo on it looks like that of Chanel, but it's written Gucci underneath. Marcel was driving along a dangerous mountain road. Suddenly, he saw a man sitting on the side of the road and stopped. It turned out the man hadn't managed to control his car. It fell off the road and the man got thrown out of the window. And now, his very expensive car was beyond repair.
Could you be my witness when I prepare the documents for my insurance company?
The man asked Marcel. The guy agreed, but asked the man to show him what was inside the car. The man took the key out of his pocket and unlocked the damaged vehicle. "I won't take part in this fraud," Marcel said. Why did he think the man was lying? If the man had been thrown out of the car, the key would still be in the ignition. Dylan and Susan had been happily married for 10 years. One day, Dylan went on a business trip. When he returned, Susan immediately understood that the man wasn't her husband. How did she figure it out? Dylan always wore his wedding ring. If you were attentive, you must have noticed it on his finger. But the man who returned to Susan didn't have the wedding ring. The police found out that a smuggler was going to leave the country through the largest airport in the city. A detective arrived there and detained 3 people who looked suspicious. Look at them and try to figure out who the smuggler is. It's the third passenger. His suitcase is full of totally random stuff. Women's shoes, some random socks, a pair of old dirty jeans, and even a wig. Plus, when closed, the suitcase looks much larger than when it's open. Sarah's husband, Michel, was a professional cyclist. He was about to have a challenging cycling tournament. "I promise I'll bring you the bouquet they give to the winner," Michel told Sarah. 4 hours later, he came back with beautiful flowers. But Sarah realized right away that Michelle hadn't won the tournament. How did she figure it out? Those flowers are actually from Sarah's garden. The same flowers are growing next to their house. Look at these people. The man is in the hospital. He's lost his memory. And these 2 women both claim to be his partner. One of them is obviously lying, but which one? The woman on the left is lying. If they were married, they would have wedding rings on their fingers. Now, there are these 3 people. One of them is lying. Who is it? Look at this woman claiming that she's pregnant. See that Adam's apple? It's a man. He can't be pregnant. Look at these people. Can you figure out who's a vampire? It's this man. See those fangs? Creepy. Which of these girls is the man's wife? It's the girl on the right. She's wearing a necklace saying Kate, and the man has a tattoo with the same name on his arm. A store security guard stopped a man who was leaving a clothing store.
The sales assistant claims you've stolen a pair of expensive gloves.
These are my gloves. I've had them for ages.
But the security guard immediately understood the man was lying. How? The man wouldn't be able to use these gloves. They're both for the same hand. Rachel reached the final of a game show. In the last round, she could win a gold bar, but only if she managed to get it. One of the bars was in a container with boiling hot water. The jar containing the second bar was filled with strong acid. And in the third jar, there were venomous scorpions. Which container should Rachel choose? The woman just needs to wait until the water in the first jar cools down and take the gold bar. Detective Adams came to a park to have lunch in the sun, but his attention was drawn by 3 men running around a fountain. Each of them was shouting, "Thief! Catch the thief!" The detective was confused. Who was the real thief? That's why he just kept watching. After some time, the distance between the men shortened. Detective Adams immediately realized who the real thief was. Can you figure it out too? If the third man was the thief, the second one would only have to turn around to catch him. The same goes for the second man, which means the man running the first is the criminal. If it rains at midnight, can you expect that in 72 hours it will be sunny? No way! In 72 hours, it's gonna be night again. Can you crack this rebus puzzle? That's right, it means accelerate. Edward and Stan are best friends. Edward lives with his wife, Leah, and Stan lives alone. Can you spot Stan's house? There's a love note on the fridge in the right kitchen. Therefore, Stan lives in the left one. Edward is furious because Leah cleaned his home office without permission. Can you spot 5 changes? Here they are. A lot of neighbors gather for Edward's garage sale. One of them is a robot. Can you guess who? This gentleman. Stan is visiting a food court and finds 2 similar bakeries. Can you spot 5 differences between them? Over here. What about these burger places? Can you find 10 differences? Here they are. Can you spot a mistake in this menu? Tuna isn't an ice cream. What about this coffee menu? Any mistakes? Free toppings have a price. Stan works in an agency that holds super secret investigations. They're looking for people with superpowers all over the planet. One day, an anonymous user broke into their corporate system where all the data was stored. Stan finds 3 suspects who are capable of such crimes and interrogates them. He asks only one question. What did you manage to find out when you stole the data? Billy says, I haven't done this kind of crime for 15 years. I don't want to go back to prison. Anna says, I was going to steal your data, but I changed my mind. You didn't have any valuable information. Nobody will believe in superheroes. And Liam replies, Bruh, if I committed such a crime, I would have covered all traces. Who's lying? Anna. She couldn't have learned the secret information without breaking into their system. Stan is visiting a fashion show. He received a clue that one of these models can be a robot. Can you guess who? The second lady. She has a USB outlet on her neck. The robot model, Nina, is very famous, and nobody knows that she's not human. Stan invites her to his office. Nina confesses, I arrived from another planet to study human behavior. Unfortunately, someone recorded their secret interrogation and posted it online. Only 4 people were in the office at that moment. Stan questions them. Ryan, the cleaner, says,
I was vacuuming the 5th floor and couldn't hear anything.
Mia, the manager, says, I'm a huge fan of Nina, even though she's not a human. I would never set her up like that. And the guard, Billy, says,
I didn't hear your conversation. I was watching a football match in my headphones.
Who's lying? Ryan. Their office is a 4-story building. Nina invites Stan over for dinner. She lives in a big, circular house with a maid, a butler, and a gardener. Nina goes to her room to change. Suddenly, Stan hears her scream and runs to her. Oh no, someone broke into my safe and stole my diamond necklace. Stan interrogates the staff. The butler says he was organizing the library. The maid says that she was dusting the corners. And the gardener says she was watering the roses. Who's lying? The maid. She was dusting the corners, but Nina lives in a circular house. So there are no corners. Stan invites Nina to a fancy restaurant to refute rumors that she's a robot. Can you spot any mistakes in this menu? They confused pomegranate with meat. Stan leaves the table to wash his hands and returns in 2 minutes. Can you spot 5 changes? Here they are. Nina slips and falls on the floor. Now she needs to replace a broken fragment in her body as soon as possible. Stan takes her to a secret lab. They need to enter a 3-digit code to open the door. He starts looking for clues and notices some tips written on the wall. But the last digit is erased. Can you help them crack the password? The digits indicate the points of intersections of the lines, so the last digit is 4. They open the door and enter a spacious hallway. A note on the wall says, "Lab is behind the purple door." Can you help the guys find the purple door? The first door is wooden. but it has an inscription and an arrow indicating that the purple door is on the right. The second door is painted blue and red, so it doesn't fit. Let's take a closer look at the third door. There's purple color under the layer of yellow paint, so the guys choose this door. Nina throws a party at her house and invites Stan. He receives an anonymous message. There's a werewolf among the guests. Can you find this person? The first lady is wearing very long nails, and the second guy has a heavy beard. But it doesn't prove anything. But let's take a look at the third lady. She's trying to hide her shiny yellow wolf eyes under her fancy sunglasses. In the kitchen, Stan meets 3 chefs preparing delicious meals. One of them is a criminal. Can you guess who? The third lady. She's adding glass fragments to the food. Stan calls the police and they arrest the third chef. She confesses that one of the guests, John, bribed her. He asked her to put glass in Stan's plate, but there are 3 Johns at the party. The officer asks one of them just one question. How do you know Stan? John 1 says, I'm a billionaire and I don't do interrogations without my lawyer. John 2 says, I came here to see Nina because she's my crush. I've never seen Stan before. And John 3 says, Stan and I went to the same college. I haven't seen him for many years, but today we met by chance. Who's lying? John 1. He's wearing a fake Gucci sweater. It's unlikely that he's a billionaire. The next day, Stan wakes up in a dusty basement. A creepy voice says that Stan can pass through one of these 3 doors. Behind the first door, there's a tank with crocodiles. Jungles full of wild animals are hiding behind the second door, and there's a giant blue whale behind the third door. It can easily swallow an adult human. Which door is more or less safe? Stan should pick the third door. Whales can't survive without water. Therefore, it's not a threat. Stan returns to his office and finds out that someone has stolen the most expensive superhero costume from the lab. Only 3 people knew about this artifact and had a key: Mia, Billy, and Rose. Stan questions everyone. Mia says, I was feeling sick yesterday, so I went home. Billy says, I locked the office at 10 p.m. and carried my key with me. And Rose says, I carried out technical testing of the suit in the afternoon. After that, I locked it up and left. Who stole the costumes? Mia. She's wearing a superhero costume under her clothes. Stan offers Mia a deal.
If I write your exact weight on a piece of paper, you'll give the costume back.
Mia agrees and gives Stan a piece of paper and a pen. In a minute, she returns the costume. How did Stan do it? Stan literally did what he said. He wrote the phrase, your exact weight, on the paper. Stan needs to find new investors for his agency. That's why he's meeting 3 people, and each offers Stan a deal. Mallory says, I used to have unique superpowers when I was little, but I didn't develop them. Now I'm old and rich, and I want to invest in your lab to help people like me. Cherry says, my parents left me billions of dollars. I want to invest in progressive projects. And Alfred says,
Look, I can help you develop your agency, but I want to have a controlling stake and hire my own staff.
One of them is a liar. Can you guess who? take a closer look at Mallory's hand. She's a robot. Therefore, her story is a lie, because robots don't age. Harry uploads a dating app, hoping to find a girlfriend. He likes these 3 ladies, but 2 of them are not single. Can you guess who? The second lady has 2 shampoos on a bathroom shelf. One for her curly hair and one shampoo for male hair and beards. So she's probably living with her husband. And the third lady is wearing a necklace in the shape of half a heart. The second half probably belongs to her boyfriend. So only the first lady is single. Early in the morning, Harry goes to the local park for a workout. He sees these 3 runners on the way. Can you decide who's faster? The second one. What about these cyclists? Who's the fastest? The third one. After the workout, Harry enters his favorite cafe and sees a lot of people. All the tables are occupied, but one person already finished eating. Can you guess who? This guy. There's money on his table. Harry looks around the cafe and sees a crying woman. Can you guess why she's so upset? She's crying because her friend is pulling her hair. Harry is flying business class to another city. There are 4 women in the cabin. One of them is smuggling gold. Can you guess who? The fourth one. Her belly is unnaturally square. So he goes to the park and gets attacked by a crowd of zombies. Harry is terrified. He begins to run away. There are 3 possible routes in front of him, but only one of these routes will actually take him to a shelter. Can you help Harry find the correct way? Route A doesn't look simple, but it's the only way out. Harry is visiting an engagement party. His brother Kevin proposes to his girlfriend Bella with a fancy diamond ring. And she says yes. The party goes well, but suddenly, the lights turn off for 20 seconds. When the power is back again, Bella sees that someone has sneaked an engagement ring from her finger. Harry questions 3 suspects. Peter says,
I was cutting a cake in the kitchen when the lights turned off.
Allie says, I was playing the piano in the living room when suddenly it became super dark. But I'm a pro, so I continued to play blindly. And Kitty says, sorry, I've been arguing on the phone with my ex-boyfriend, so I didn't look around. Who's lying? Allie. She said she was playing the piano, but there are no musical instruments in the living room. At the party, Harry meets a pretty lady named Monica. He falls in love with her at first sight, but unfortunately, she's already married. Can you guess which one of these guys is her spouse? It's the first guy. He's the only one who doesn't hold any drink, and Monica is holding 2 glasses, one for herself and one for her husband. The party goes on, and Harry meets Vlad. He's a real vampire. One of these ladies is his wife. Can you guess who? The first lady's not a vampire. She bit this cookie and smeared her red lipstick. and the second one is wearing a garlic necklace, probably to chase away evil powers. Meanwhile, the third lady has sharp ears and red eyes, so she's probably a vampire just like Vlad. But the task was to spot Vlad's wife. Nobody said that she's necessarily a vampire. Take a look at the first lady's ring finger. She has a ruby ring that's similar to Vlad's. Therefore, she's his spouse. Harry runs a hardware store chain. He arrives at one of the shops to investigate a theft. The manager says,
This morning I found out that some Xboxes are missing. They could be stolen yesterday. Only 2 guys worked last night. One of them must be the thief. Personally, I think it was Bob.
Harry asks, "Why do you think so?"
I talked to both of them. Bob said that he saw nothing suspicious, and Zach said that he'd seen Bob put some boxes in the back seat of his car.
Harry asks the manager to take him to Bob. They approach Bob at the parking lot. Harry says, "Now I'm pretty sure that Zach is guilty." Why did Harry think so? Zach said Bob put some boxes in the back seat of his car. However, Bob has a 2-seat car. Harry calls the police and they arrest Zach. The manager decides to change the 7-number password on the storage door to avoid further thefts. He leaves this little clue for all his colleagues. Can you crack this code? The number of fingers implies 5. The number of angles in the triangle implies 3. The number of petals in the flower is 6. The circle implies 0. The rainbow has 7 colors. It symbolizes the number 7. And finally, the square has 4 angles, so the passcode is 536074. Harry figures out the code and changes it again to test Bob's intelligence. Harry gives him the following clue. It's a 7-digit code. The first digit is the number of zeros in the code. The second digit is the number of ones in it. The third digit is the number of 2s. The fourth digit is the number of 3s. The fifth digit is the number of 4s. The sixth digit reveals the number of 5s. And finally, the 7th digit shows the number of 6s. Can you figure out the code? The correct answer is 3211000. Harry goes on a road trip. He stops in the middle of a desert to take pictures. Can you spot 3 odd things? Harry's shadow falls to the right, and the shadows from the cacti fall to the left. He's in the desert, but this cactus is growing in a pot, and this lizard is wearing tiny shoes. Harry rents a room in a motel for a couple of days. Unfortunately, he has a very annoying neighbor, Karen. They're arguing all the time. One day, Karen calls the local security and accuses Harry of stealing her towel. It's been raining all day long, so I didn't go to the beach and stayed in my room. Harry grabbed my beach towel from this rope. I could see from my window. He folded it and put it into his backpack. The guard immediately realizes that Karen is lying. How? The rope is outdoors. It doesn't make any sense to dry towels in the rain. Harry purchases a tour to see the local waterfalls. He takes a nap on the bus. Then he wakes up and sees that his favorite baseball cap is missing. Harry interrogates 3 tourists nearby. Sally says, "Sorry, I was sleeping too. I don't know who did it." Oliver says, "Look at me, I don't wear baseball caps, man. I prefer classy hats." And Molly says, "I think it was Sally. She's very suspicious. I'm almost sure that she tried to steal my chocolates when I fell asleep." Can you spot the thief? It was Oliver. He hid Harry's cap under his classy hat. Harry enters the local bakery. Rosie, the barista, is very upset. I have so many coffee orders, but someone stole all the beans from the storage room. Harry interrogates 3 suspects. Louis, the cook, says,
I spent the whole day in the kitchen baking croissants, and I'm just working on a new batch. I don't have time to talk to you.
Ron, the waiter, says, I forgot to set my alarm, so I overslept and arrived just now. I don't know who sneaked the beans. And finally, Dan, the manager, says,
I've been talking to one dissatisfied customer all morning. She was so annoying. I didn't have the chance to look around.
Who's lying? The cook. There are no croissants either in the kitchen or in the bakery window.
Samantha is a hairdresser who will choose to give a haircut to 2 brunettes rather than to 1 redhead. Why? It's obvious. This way, she will earn more. Both Mark and Daniel had a box of chocolates each. There were 12 chocolates in each box. Mark ate some sweets, then Daniel opened his box and ate the same number of chocolates that were left in Mark's box. How many chocolates do the guys have together now? Together, they have 12 chocolates. You're trapped in a secret laboratory by a mad professor. You find a corridor ending with 3 doors. Behind the first door, there's a giant shark. Behind the second one, there's a deep hole with sharp metal spikes at the bottom. And the third door hides live electrical wires. Before you have time to pick one exit, the corridor starts to fill with water. Choose fast which door can save your life. Choose the second door. As soon as the corridor fills with water, you'll be able to swim over the spikes. Can you find 3 differences between these 2 pictures? Here you go, all 3 of them. How about these 2 rooms? Do you think you can find 3 differences? If you've spotted them all, congratulations! Now, look at these students and tell me who is cheating. It's this girl wearing a white t-shirt. She has the answers to the test written on her arm. Mark was an infamous robber, so smart he was always 1 step ahead of the police. Mark's rivals were jealous of his skills, but one time they found out that Mark had just got his hands on a precious necklace. His main competitor decided to steal this necklace from Mark to prove he was a more skilled thief. So he searched Mark's house, but didn't find the necklace. Disappointed, he put everything back in place and left. When Mark came back home, he immediately realized someone had been there. How did he figure it out? The bed is the clue. It looks different than before the rivals' visit. Look at these people attentively. All of them are teachers, but one teacher is fake. Can you figure out which one? It's the guy on the left. Can you see his portrait over there on the wall? He's a wanted criminal. Now look at these 2 teachers. Which of them is a criminal? It's most probably the lady on the left. Look, there's something red on her sleeve. Is it blood? Put on your detective hat and tell me which grandma is not dangerous. Look at the reflection of the granny on the right. She seems to be a robot. This doesn't make her dangerous per se, but it's still weird. Michael had a powerful enemy who was a dark wizard. Once he managed to kidnap the man and lock him on top of an incredibly high tower. In Michael's room, there was just one small window and no doors at all. But the wizard thought it wasn't enough. He set the tower on magic fire and apparated away. Michael knew he didn't have much time left. He looked around the room and saw 3 magic potions. The first one could make him inhumanly strong. The second would turn him into a vampire. And with the help of the third potion, he could summon any animal he wanted. Which potion should he drink? Well, even if he destroyed the tower with his newly acquired strength, it wouldn't help him with the magic fire. No animal could help him escape from the tower. But if he chose to become a vampire, he would be able to turn into a bat and simply fly away. Damien left a $100 bill lying on his desk and left for work. When he came back, the money wasn't there. No surprise. The cook explained that she had put the bill under the book lying on the table. But when Damien checked, there was nothing there. Then the housekeeper said that she had moved the money inside the book between pages 10 and 11 to keep it safe. But again, there was nothing inside the book. And finally, the gardener said that he had seen the money sticking out of the book and placed the bill between pages 13 and 14. Who took the money? It was the gardener. Pages 13 and 14 are 2 sides of the same page. There were just 2 days remaining before an important basketball competition, when one of the main players of one of the teams went missing. The last time he was seen at lunchtime. There were 3 suspects, Michael, Ethan, and John. The police interviewed the 3 of them and got the following answers. When the player disappeared, Michael was giving autographs to some pretty girls. Ethan had sprained his ankle and was getting a massage. And John was taking a shower before the training. Who is a liar? It's John. It doesn't make any sense to take a shower before the training. Richard was walking through the park after work when somebody hit him on the head from behind. When he woke up, he was in a well. Luckily, there wasn't too much water in it. But as soon as Richard tried to climb out of the well, he realized the walls were too slippery. The man noticed a rope with a bucket tied to it. The bucket was hanging pretty low, but try as he might, Richard couldn't reach it. However, in 15 minutes, the man was running away from the dangerous place. Can you figure out how Richard escaped? The man took his shoes off and threw them into the bucket. It got down, and Richard managed to escape. On the outskirts of town, there was a haunted house. A group of friends decided to check if the house lived up to its reputation. They went there at night, but as soon as they reached their destination, one guy refused to go inside and tried to stop the others. But they just laughed at him and entered the place, leaving him behind. He heard some terrible crashing sounds coming from the house, and then everything went still. The guy never saw his friends again. How did he understand there was something seriously wrong with the house? The guy who stayed behind was very attentive. He noticed that there were lots of footprints leading towards the house, but none going away. Captain Black was on the bridge of a spacecraft when the engineer informed him they had problems with the engine. They needed to land soon to repair it. There were 3 planets on their way. One was freezing cold and covered with ice. The second was boiling hot and covered with molten lava. And the third planet was covered with acid that could easily destroy their ship. What planet did the captain choose? Black chose the cold planet, since very low temperatures aren't a problem for a spaceship. 4 boys are lined up on several steps, all of them facing in the same direction. A brick wall separates the 4th boy from the rest. Boy number 1 can see boys number 2 and number 3. Boy number 2 can see boy number 3. All boy number 3 sees is the wall. And boy number 4 doesn't see the others. The boys are wearing hats, and they know that 2 of the hats are white and 2 are black. Which boy will be the first to figure out and shout out the color of the hat he's wearing if the boys aren't allowed to turn, talk to each other, or take their hats off? It'll be boy number 2. Boys 3 and 4 can't see each other's hats. Boy number 1 sees one black hat and one white hat and knows that his hat can either be white or black. Boy number 2 sees one black hat. He realizes that if he was also wearing a black hat, boy number 1 would understand that his hat is white. And since he hasn't shouted yet, it means that boy number 2 is wearing a white hat.
Justin was an archaeologist who explored ancient pyramids. One day, something went wrong, and he ended up locked in a tiny room deep underground. The guy got into the room through a narrow passage. It was blocked by a rock slide several minutes after he'd entered. There was only one other door in the room, but it was locked. To open it, the guy had to solve a riddle. Stand. Try to. After mulling it over for some time, Justin guessed what it meant. Can you? The answer is try to understand. Detective Taylor came to investigate a tricky case. Someone had pushed a famous basketball player down the stairs, and he ended up in a hospital right before an important game. The detective had 3 suspects, all of them the player's teammates. Connor said he had been cleaning and checking basketballs. Nathan explained that he'd had his lunch, several cheeseburgers and french fries. After that, he went to train. And Julian told the detective he had been getting a massage. His back hurt. Detective Taylor didn't need much more time to figure out who the culprit was. It was Nathan. No one eats such a big lunch before training. Mark came to visit his friend Thomas in his office. While walking along the corridor, he heard his friend shouting. He ran inside and spotted Thomas standing near a girl who was on the floor. "It's my secretary, Linda. I returned from my lunch break and saw her unconscious. Also, my safe was open and very important documents were missing." Another man, Thomas's deputy, entered the room. "Whoa, what happened here? I've been away for 10 minutes at the most. I just went to buy coffee at the nearest cafe." Suddenly, the girl opened her eyes. "Ah, I had such a scare. I was working with documents when someone grabbed me from behind. And then, darkness. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't shown up, boss." Mark told Thomas to call the police immediately. Why? If the secretary was unconscious, how did she know it was Thomas who found her? Jack and John are twin brothers. They're robbers, and the police all over the country have been trying to catch them for several years. That's why everyone's happy when one of the brothers gets into a trap after breaking into a wealthy businessman's villa. But police officers have a problem. They can't figure out whether they've caught Jack or John. The brothers are just so similar. The man also refuses to tell them his name. The only thing the detectives know is that Jack always lies and John always tells the truth. How can they find out who the man is by asking him just one question? The question the police officers need to ask is, do you have a brother? If it's Jack, he'll lie and say no. And if it's John, he'll give a positive answer. Matthew wears either only black or only white socks. One evening, he's in a hurry, getting ready for a romantic dinner with his girlfriend. Suddenly, the power goes out. The guy has 10 white and 10 black socks in his drawer, but all of them are mixed. If it's completely dark in the room and Matthew can't see anything, how many socks must he pull out of the drawer to get 2 matching ones? Just 3. In a set of 3 socks, he's bound to have 2 socks of the same color. Milan airport customs officers noticed that one man traveled abroad at least several times a week. They started to suspect he was a smuggler, but couldn't understand what he'd been smuggling. He always had a suitcase or a bag with him, but there was never anything forbidden or expensive inside. Several months later, when a new customs officer joined the team, the mystery was solved. What was it that the man smuggled? He smuggled designer suitcases and bags. You've gotten trapped in a bizarre room. Shiny, made of metal and with no windows, and it has 2 doors. One of them leads to freedom. Some danger is looming behind the other. You don't know which door is safe. 2 robots guard these doors. They're ready to allow you to leave through one of the doors, but once you choose a door, you can't change your mind. On the bright side, you can ask one of the robots a single question, but one of them always tells the truth, and the second always lies. Again, you don't know which is which. What question should you ask? If I asked the other robot which door was safe, what would it answer? The honest robot is going to tell you the truth and point at the dangerous door, and the liar is gonna lie and also point at the dangerous door. All you need to do is leave through the other door. Look at this guy. He's fallen asleep right behind the wheel of his moving car. And now he's getting out of the vehicle safe and happy. How did he survive? He was traveling in a self-driving car. The future's here, folks. Now, this girl seems to be in grave danger. She probably doesn't notice that a shark is following her in the water, but just a few minutes later, she's already chilling on the beach, drinking a cocktail. How come? It was another swimmer with a fake shark fin. Look, he's taking off his equipment over there. Oh no, this elderly lady is falling from a skyscraper, but now she seems to be safe, wiping sweat off her brow. Can you figure out what's happened here? Luckily, it was just a dream. Behind the lady's back, we can see her bedroom. Ah! A rock slide! And a huge rock is falling right on this guy. I'm gonna cover my eyes. Huh? How on earth did he survive? He's Superman. See that tiny logo on his t-shirt? It's getting more and more nerve-wracking. Now, a wild bear seems to be attacking this man from behind. Wait, and now the man is laughing hard. What made him so happy? It was just another guy in a Halloween costume. Have you noticed this zipper? This tightrope seems to be very high above the ground. Watch out, bro! Oh no! He's slipped and fallen from the rope. But in this picture, he looks totally unharmed. What magic is this? This guy is an acrobat performing in a circus, so he fell into a safety net. The manager of a ski resort has gone missing. The police suspect 3 people that are staying at the hotel. Unfortunately, no one can find any of these people. They're probably on the slopes, skiing. The police officers have no time to waste and decide to examine their rooms. Look at the suspect's stuff and say who's responsible for the disappearance of the manager. It's Joyce. He's the only one who doesn't have warm clothes or winter sports gear and equipment. It means he didn't come to the resort to have some fun. In the 22nd century, robots live among people, and it's nothing out of the ordinary. But sometimes they resemble people so much it makes detectives work way harder. Like this time, Eric Blank, an experienced police officer, has to figure out which of these 3 suspects is guilty of identity theft. He knows for sure the culprit is a robot, but who isn't human? It's the girl in the middle. She has a USB port on the side of her neck. Kyle lived on the 6th floor of an apartment building. Once, the man was having his coffee on the balcony. Suddenly, he spotted a woman on the 8th floor of the building across the road. She opened the window and threw something with great force. In no more than a minute, Kyle jumped to his feet and ran to call the ambulance. They arrived soon and rushed the woman to a hospital. What did she throw out of the window? A boomerang!
Ashley is a stewardess. She finds this cute puppy running around in the airport. 3 people come over and claim to be its owner. Can you guess who's telling the truth? This guy. His tattoo matches the dog's name. Ashley walks to her flight gate and passes by this waiting area. But then the gate changes, so she has to walk through that place once again. Ashley spots 10 differences. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley is checking passengers' passports before letting people on board. Suddenly, the security service calls her with a warning. One of the passengers is using a fake ID. Ashley finds 3 suspects. Can you spot the fake passport out? There's no February 31st, so this passport is definitely fake. Finally, the plane is taking off. Ashley takes a look at the passengers and spots 3 odd things. Can you see them too? This lady has 2 safety belts. This guy is talking on the phone. It should be put in airplane mode. And the view behind this window doesn't match reality. There's no hot lunch on this flight, but you can buy it additionally. The price for chicken is set at $15, and the beef costs $12. Can you guess the price of a fish lunch? The cost of one vowel is $5, and the cost of a consonant, $1. Fish has 3 consonants and 1 vowel, so it costs $8. One of the passengers, Josh, calls Ashley. He begins to complain. Someone had stolen my phone when I was in the toilet. Ashley questions 3 people sitting nearby. What happened when Josh was away? Chelsea says, sorry, I was watching a movie, so I didn't look around at all. Bobby says, I was reading a book, but I think I heard the sound of a rustled plastic bag. And Nina says, I was sleeping. You woke me up with your stupid questions. Who stole the phone? Nobody. It's still in Jeff's pocket. Ashley checks the business class passengers and spots one witch among them. Can you see her too? This lady is hiding a magic wand. Ashley lands in a foreign country and sends her boyfriend this message. Can you guess what country she's in? Singapore. Ashley goes to her hotel by train. She sees these 2 billboards on the way. She can't decide if they're identical. Can you spot any differences? In fact, there are 5 differences. Ashley goes to the local restaurant. There's an open kitchen, and she can see the chef at work. Ashley makes an order and leaves for the ladies' room for a while. When she returns, she spots 10 differences in the kitchen. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley sees a group of office workers having lunch together. Suddenly, their boss spills hot coffee on his laptop because his palm is stuck to his mug. One of these 3 co-workers prank their boss. Can you guess who? It's the lady in the middle. She's wearing double-sided tape as a bracelet. Suddenly, one of the guests in the restaurant faints. The manager calls an ambulance. The doctors arrive very quickly and take him to the hospital. The police question witnesses. The cook says, this guy didn't order any food. He just asked for a glass of water. The waitress says, he looked so gloomy. I decided to cheer him up and served his water in a silver glass. The manager says, he called us in advance to reserve a table in the corner. He insisted that I must send him an official invitation. And the cleaner says, I saw him washing hands in the restroom. I swear he didn't have any reflection. Can you guess what happened here? The guest was a vampire, and he got sick because of the silver. Ashley is visiting the local farmer's market. A group of tourists asks her to take their pictures. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? This lady. She's eating a pomegranate with the peel. Ashley wants to chill at this beautiful beach, but she sees a zombie among the guests. Can you spot it too? It's this guy who's reading a book upside down. Ashley goes hiking and gets lost. She finds a sign that shows 3 possible ways out. Unfortunately, each path hides some danger. There's a toxic marsh that swallows people on the first path. The second path is a hunting place for vampires. And the third path holds thousands of venomous snakes. Which way is more or less safe? Ashley should choose the second path. Vampires only hunt at night. Ashley, Nellie, Sarah, and Melissa are coworkers and friends. They land in Paris and come to a party together. But at a certain point, they find out that Ashley had disappeared. She was locked in the basement of the music hall. Can you guess who did it? It was Melissa. Pink sequins from her fancy dress lay by the door. Ashley receives this rebus from her boss. Can you guess which country is her next destination? She's going to Belgium. Ashley is packing her bags for the trip. How many emojis can you see here? Here they are. Ashley is having breakfast at the airport. Can you find any emojis in this food? There are 3, actually. In the waiting area, Ashley meets her old school friend, Kelly. They go to the local coffee shop to chat. Suddenly, Kelly begins to yell, "Please help me! My suitcase is gone!" Ashley questions 3 witnesses. One of the passengers, Paul, says, "This is my suitcase. I've already wrapped it in plastic to protect it from scratches." Nina says, "I went to the restroom and asked the barista to look after my luggage." And the barista says, "I looked after Nina's luggage and I didn't look around. Sorry." Can you figure out the thief? It's Paul. There's a sticker with Kelly's name under the plastic. Ashley enters the plane. There's an imposter among the flight crew. Can you help Ashley find this person? It's this stewardess. Take a look at her uniform. The air company logo is a little different compared to all the others. Ashley lands in Brussels. She walks into the local park and takes 2 pictures. Can you find 10 differences between them? Here they are. A motorbike rider asks Ashley to take his picture. She takes 2. Are they identical? There are 3 differences, actually. In the hotel, Ashley meets an opera diva, Esmeralda, who's having a world tour. She has visited almost all the countries, and she has finally arrived at the last one.
Oh, no.
In the morning, a maid finds Esmeralda unconscious in her room. The police arrive and find out that Esmeralda was poisoned. They question the suspects. Esmeralda's husband says, "She wanted to be in bed early, so I went to the lobby for the night." Esmeralda's manager says, "I was in my room all evening. I was preparing for the concert." And the hotel waitress says, "I only brought her juice in the evening. She was fine." The police check fingerprints in the room and find many prints on the glass. Who poisoned Esmeralda? It was the manager. She said she didn't leave the room, but there are prints on the glass. In the morning, Ashley is having her next flight, but her taxi breaks on the way. She's stuck at the gas station 50 miles away from the airport. 3 drivers stop, offering to give Ashley a ride. Which car would you choose? The first car is stolen. And the 3rd driver is a runaway criminal, so Ashley should choose the 2nd car. Ashley returns home and puts all her cash into her stash as usual. The next evening, she returns home and realizes that someone had stolen her money. How did she guess? Ashley's cash was in the globe. Its parts don't match anymore. Somebody opened it when Ashley was out.
Here we go. Stella is a cleaning lady in a 3-story business center. Late in the evening, she finishes cleaning the big boss's office. Stella is the last person in the entire building, so she locks the doors and goes home. The next morning, the boss calls her and yells, "Someone wrote scammer on the wall near his desk with blue paint." The boss questions 3 suspects. The guard said, "I was feeling sick yesterday, so I left earlier and asked Stella to lock all the doors with her keys." The manager says, "This paint was supposed to be used for the basement. I guess someone had stolen the paint from the storage room. As for me, I've spent the evening with my family, and they can confirm my words." And the local interior decorator says, "Yesterday, I was working from home." So, who's guilty? The guard. Take a look at his shoes. He left some footprints on the floor, and they look identical to the paint footprints left in the boss's office. Kyle and Amy are having dinner at a restaurant. Can you spot what's wrong here? She has 2 forks. You're in a land where 30 men and 2 women are dressed in conservative black and white outfits. They begin to fight as soon as any of them moves. Can you guess where you are? You're on a chessboard. Welcome to the food market. There's a zombie hiding somewhere here. Can you see him? Over here. Can you help the police spot a bank robber in this amusement park? Hello. Let's take a look at all of these emojis. Can you find any food? There's shrimp over here. What about this collection? Can you see anything edible? There are 2 options, actually. Let's go ahead and see if you can find a building among these emojis. There it is. Next set. Can you see a human among these emojis? Hello. I bet you can find a body part in this variety. This nose over here. Can you see any flowers among all these emojis? There are 2 flowers actually, here and here. Can you spot what's wrong here? The reflection doesn't match reality. Can you see anything odd here? This lady doesn't have any reflection. Wicked Witch kidnaps young women in the town. The police had been tracking her for 6 months, and finally, they detected her hideout uptown. They break in and find 3 young ladies with their hands tied. The police questions all women. Sally says, "I've been here for a month or so. I'm so glad you found us." Bella says, "This witch only gave us some bread. We were starving." And Rosie says, "I've spent a month in the darkness. I thought I'd never see the daylight again." The police know at once that one of them is the witch. Can you guess who? Sally. If she had been there for a month, her nails would grow and the nail polish would peel. George works in a museum as an appraisal expert. One day, a stranger brings him 3 antique Japanese vases. He says, "They're precious. These vases were passed down in my family from generation to generation. They're worth millions, but I would like to sell them to your museum at a huge discount so that everyone can admire them." George examines the vases and finds out that only one of them isn't fake. Can you guess which one? The first piece looks pretty ancient, but why would an ancient Japanese vase have English letters as part of its decoration? The third vase depicts an elegant lady in a traditional costume who's holding a smartphone? Therefore, only the second vase is original. Let's take a look at this collection of emojis. Can you see any gadgets? There are 2 options, actually. Can you find a body part in this variety? This palm over here. Let's go ahead and see if you can find a building among these emojis. There it is! Next set. Can you see any animals among these emojis? There are 3 animals here. Can you find any plants among all these emojis? Hello! A powerful wizard kidnaps Kyle's wife. There are 3 tunnels leading to the dungeon where she's imprisoned. A mother bear is cuddling her cubs inside the first tunnel. The second tunnel is filled with hungry wolves who haven't been eating for a year. And a fire-breathing dragon is sleeping inside the third tunnel. It can wake up at any moment and burn anyone who dares to enter. Which way is more or less safe? The second path is the safest. Wolves won't survive without food for so long, which means they're not dangerous or breathing. Let's go ahead and see if you can find an outfit among these emojis. It's over here. Let's take a look at this collection of emojis. Can you see any money? Ka-ching! Can you find a shoe in this set? There it is! Next set. Can you see any desserts among these emojis? Piece of cake, literally. Ms. Smith is a rich old lady. Today she's furious because she's found out that her son is having a secret relationship with one of her staff members. 3 women are working in Miss Smith's mansion. The house cleaner, who has just married their driver, they have a huge debt. The babysitter, who's very poor and brings up 5 siblings. And the gardener, who is a university student. She's not very serious and loves partying. Can you guess who's the secret girlfriend? It's the babysitter. Where did she get money for this jewelry? Billy has lost his cat. Can you help him find it? It's hiding behind this lady. Alex wakes up in a creepy quest room. There are 3 doors, but touching their doorknobs is unsafe. The first one is under high voltage, fatal to humans. The second one is red-hot iron that will burn your hand. And the third one is covered with poison, which is fatal for all beings when injected. Which doorknob should Alex turn to escape? The third one. The poison is only dangerous when injected. Paul leaves his workplace to wash his hands before lunch. He returns to his desk and finds out that someone had eaten his turkey sandwich. Paul checks the crime scene and questions 3 suspects among his co-workers. Mary says, "I've been talking to the manager in his office when the robbery was taking place." Liam says, "I don't need your sandwich, bro. I'm a vegetarian." And Wendy says, "I've been having a conference call in the lobby. I wasn't looking at your desk." Who's lying? Liam. There's a sandwich on his desk. Take a closer look at the package. It says chicken. Therefore, he's not a vegetarian. Can you find any fish among all these emojis? Hello! Let's take a look at this collection of emojis. Can you see any money? Jackpot! Emma takes part in a beauty pageant. She arrives at the auditorium early, gets ready, and has lunch at the local cafeteria because she hasn't been eating or drinking all day. Before going to the stage, Emma faints. The doctors find out that someone had poisoned her. The police check all food and drinks at the cafeteria and find no poison. They interrogate 4 witnesses. The cook says, "I only served allergy-friendly snacks and drinks." The contest manager says all the models had been eating and drinking the same food, but Emma was the only one who got poisoned. She must have eaten something wrong at home. The rival beauty pageant contestant says, "I've done all the preparations at home, so I've just arrived." And the makeup artist says, "I was too busy with my duties, so I haven't even entered the cafeteria." Can you guess who poisoned Emma? The makeup artist. Lipstick was the only thing that touched Emma's mouth that day, apart from the cafeteria food.
You think you're a math genius? Well, here's your chance to prove that. For I have prepared the ultimate IQ test for you. Don't forget to keep track of your correct answers.
Yeah.
Take a look at the image. Can you tell me what's the number of the parking space covered by the car? Well, this math question actually requires no math whatsoever. If you flip the image upside down, you'll see that what you're dealing with is a simple number sequence. So, the correct answer is 87. I am an odd number. Take away 1 letter and I become even. What number am I? The answer is 7. Take away the S and it becomes even. There's a 3-digit number. The second digit is 4 times as big as the third digit, while the first digit is 3 less than the second digit. What is the number? The correct answer is 141. Sally is 54 years old and her mother is 80.
Can you tell me how many years ago Sally's mother was 3 times Sally's age? It was 41 years ago when Sally was 13 and her mother was 39. I add 6 to 11 and get 5. Can you tell me how that's possible? Well, you'll need to use your critical thinking skills to solve this rather than your math knowledge and shift your perspective. When it is 11 a.m., adding 6 hours makes it 5 p.m. That's how the equation is possible. What is the smallest number that is increased by 12 when it's flipped and turned upside down? The answer is 86. When it's turned upside down and flipped, it becomes 98, which is 12 more than 86. My twin lives at the reverse of my house number. The difference between our house numbers ends in 2. What are the lowest possible numbers of our house numbers? I never said these math riddles were going to be easy to solve. Anyway, here's the answer to this one. The lowest possible numbers for the houses are 19 and 91. The difference is 72. A father is 4 times as old as his son. In 20 years, he will be twice as old. How old are they now? The father is 40 years old and the son is 10 years old. What 3 positive numbers give the same answer when multiplied and added together? The answer is 1, 2, and 3. You have a 3-gallon bottle and a 5-gallon bottle. How can you measure exactly 4 gallons of water? Fill the 3-gallon bottle and pour it into the 5-gallon bottle. Then fill the 3-gallon bottle again and carefully pour it into the 5-gallon bottle until the 5-gallon bottle is full. This will leave 1 gallon in the 3-gallon bottle. Empty the 5-gallon bottle and pour the 1 gallon from the 3-gallon bottle into it. Now, fill the 3-gallon bottle one more time and pour it into the 5-gallon bottle, giving you 4 gallons in the 5-gallon bottle. How can a chef use an 11-minute hourglass and a 7-minute hourglass to time vegetables that must be cooked for 15 minutes consequently? Turn over both hourglasses at the same time, but don't put any vegetables in just yet. When the 7-minute hourglass runs out, put in the vegetables immediately. There will be 4 minutes left on the 11-minute hourglass. When that runs out, just flip it back over for another 11 minutes. That gives you the 4 minutes plus the 11 minutes, which makes 15 minutes. A box contains 6 red balls, 4 green balls, and 2 blue balls. Without looking, what's the minimum number of balls you need to draw to ensure you have at least 2 balls of the same color? The answer is 4. Here's why. Because even if the worst case scenario happens, which is you'll draw 1 ball of each color, the next ball you'll pick will match one of the colors drawn previously. What comes next in this sequence? You see, each number in this sequence is generated by taking a square of a natural number, aka 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then adding that natural number itself. For example, the first number in the sequence is the square of 1 plus 1. The second is the square of 2 plus 2, and so on. According to that formula, the next number in this sequence will be 30. You have a set of scales and 8 balls. One of the balls is slightly heavier than the rest, but you don't know which one. You can use the scales only twice. How can you find the heavier ball? As step 1, you need to pick 6 balls and weigh them 3 on each side of the scale. If the balls balance each other, then weigh the remaining 2 balls, and the heavier one will tilt the balance on its side. But if the balls do not balance each other, then the heavier ball should be one of the 3 balls on the side the balance tilts. From these 3 balls, discard one of them and choose the other 2 to weigh. If the 2 balls balance each other, then the heavier one is the discarded 3rd ball. If not, the heavier one will tilt the balance on its side. Take a look at this table. According to it, what will 7 plus 3 make? So in these equations, you first subtract the second number from the first number. Then, you put the 2 numbers together without any mathematical operation. For example, in 4 plus 2 equals 26, you subtract 2 from 4, which is 2, and then you add 4 and 2 together, which is 6, and this gives you 26. So, for 7 plus 3, you subtract 3 from 7, which is 4, and then you add 7 and 3 together, which results in 410. A grandmother, 2 mothers, and 2 daughters went to a baseball game together and bought 1 ticket each. How many tickets did they buy in total? They bought 3 tickets. The grandmother is also a mother, and the mother is also a daughter. What can you put between a 7 and an 8 so that the result is greater than a 7 but less than an 8? A decimal, because even 7.8 is greater than 7 but less than 8. If 7 people meet each other and each person shakes hands only once with each other, how many handshakes will there be in total? The first person shakes the hand of 6 others. The second person shakes the hand of 5 remaining people. The third person shakes the hand of 4 remaining people, and so on. So, you can reach the correct answer by adding 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 together, which will give you 21 handshakes. Jessica works at SeaWorld. When she tries to put each fish in its own aquarium, she has 1 fish too many. But if she puts 2 fish per aquarium, she has 1 aquarium too many. How many fish and how many aquariums does Jessica have? She has 3 aquariums and 4 fish. David is the owner of a clothing store, and he has come up with his own method of pricing items. According to it, a vest costs $20, socks cost $25, a tie costs $15, and a blouse costs $30. Using the same method, How much would a pair of underwear cost? The pricing method consists of charging $5 for each letter required to spell the item. So, a pair of underwear will cost $45. Let's check your results. If you got 0 to 6 questions right, maybe math equations are not your strong suit, but your talents might be lying elsewhere. Just find what that is to shine your light on the world. If you got 7 to 11 questions right, it shows that you have potential, but maybe you were just out of your element today. I suggest you try again when you feel like you can concentrate more. If you got 12 to 16 questions right, the Genius Club has saved you a spot. Just practice more and you'll get there in no time. If you got 16 to 20 questions right, my friend, you bow to no one.